On this episode, we dive into Sukhumvit Soi 71, aka Pridi Soi.
So if you're curious about why this neighborhood was rated the 12th coolest in the world, and why we may have some issues with that, you'll love this episode of the Bangkok Podcast.
Sawadee krap, and welcome to the Bangkok Podcast. My name is Greg Jorgensen, a Canadian who came to Thailand in 2001 for a beach vacation, but got sidetracked by Bangkok and never actually made it to a beach until 3 years after I got here. True story.
Wow. And I'm Ed Knuth, an American who came to Thailand on a one-year teaching contract 19 years ago, fell in love with paintings of the Buddha that looked like a superhero, and I never left.
Topical.
We want to say a quick thank you to one of our patrons, Kevin Kerwan, who supports us at the show shout-out level. Stick around after we're done talking about the Pridi Soi neighborhood to hear why Kevin might get his very own Bangkok Podcast Patreon tier. And of course, one of the cool things patrons like Kevin get is an unscripted, uncensored bonus episode every week where we talk about current events in Thailand and whatever else comes into our minds. We just finished recording this week's bonus show, and we chatted about our top 3 places to eat in Bangkok, which was actually a request by Kevin, as well as some of the options or lack of options for digital payments in Bangkok. Plus, we did some news of the weird about the Ultraman Buddha paintings, which you'll have to check out the bonus show if you want to hear that discussion.
Yeah, good times. Man, I just can't wait until I can swipe my phone for everything. I'll be broke.
We're almost there, man. You can pay for a lot on your phone now.
A lot, yeah, but I'm holding fingers crossed only 10 or 20 more years until we're able to pay with a single ticket for the bus and the train and the boat.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Right. All right, well, before we get into things, we actually have a very special announcement.
Wait, hold on.
What?
Do we have a drum roll sound effect?
I don't know, man. We do the show on a shoestring. We don't have a lot of money for extra, like, digital audio interface. How about this?
Okay.
Is that good?
That sounds like you tapping on your microphone.
No. That's a very expensive drum synthesizer.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Works for me. All right.
Cool.
What's the big announcement?
Well, this episode that you're listening to right now, episode 80, is actually the final episode of season 3.
For real?
For real, man. Oh, I didn't tell you?
Oh, dude. So what does that mean? Does this mean like, is this my final episode? Is that the big news?
Well, it's been fun.
Seriously, man.
No. We Ed and I are going to take a break next week. We're going to get some work done. We're going to work on the new season. But the week after that, October 23rd, you will be hearing episode 1 of season 4 with me and Ed. Ed's not going anywhere. It's going to
wow, cool.
Yeah, you're still in the loop, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, we decided it was time for a change. Season 1 of the show that I did with Tony way back in the day that had 76 episodes. Season 2 I did with Evo had 72 episodes, and this one is episode 80 this week. So we figured it's kind of getting around the same number. And I don't know, we just thought it was time for a change. So the main format of the show will remain largely the same, but we are adding a few new things here and there, tweaking some things here and over there. Adding a few things to the website, and we're going to go into details of all the new stuff that's coming out on the next show. That will be season 4, episode 1. So make sure to tune in for that. And then we're going to be off to the races for season 4.
Right, and that'll be in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Sorry, you caught me in mid-beer sip.
There are some surprises coming up. Like Greg said, the show is largely the same, but we do have some improvements to the show. So I think you should very much look forward to Season 4, Episode 1.
Yeah, it'll be fun. All right, well, now, actually, that was before we jump into it, but this is the before we jump into it version 2. This is the soft option part of the show. I do want to mention something. We got an email from one of our listeners, Kathleen. She heard our recent episode about flooding in Bangkok, and she actually sent us a link, which we will put in the show notes. And this is super geeky, and it's right up my alley. But she wrote her thesis for Harvard. Little university called Harvard Ed. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
No, I've never heard of it.
It's in the States. Her thesis was called Understanding Canals in Bangkok Using Historic Maps and GIS, Geolocation Information Systems, I think that stands for, by Kathleen, blah, blah, blah. A thesis in the field of sustainability and environmental management for the degree of Master of Liberal Arts in the Extension Studies, Harvard University, November 2017. So basically, it was a super geeky look into the history of the canal system in Bangkok and how it relates to temples. And her theory was that water plays such an important role in Thai culture and in Buddhism that the canals around temples have been less disturbed and remain more often than canals that are further away from temples, which have been filled in by roads and stuff like that. So,
oh wow, okay,
yeah, it's a really geeky, like, niche topic. And if you're like me and likes reading about like Bangkok back in the day and these things, it's really cool. Just as an example, I'm going to read a quick paragraph from her thesis. It says, canals in Bangkok have been consistently reduced, replaced, or filled in over the last 85 years. Every area in the study saw a reduction of canals. Sometimes these reductions were drastic. In 1932, the total canal length in meters throughout all 8 study sections was 170,550, while in 2017, it had plummeted to 44,763, a decrease of 74%. However, within the reach of the temples, canals fared better, although there was still a 53% loss in their total length. So it's really cool, and thanks, Kathleen, for sending that in. So we'll put the links in the show notes, and it's not really like a quick fun read, but it is really interesting if you're into that kind of thing.
Well, I think that, from the story we did on flooding, it seems like the filling in of the canals has added to the flooding. Is that the basic idea?
Yeah, totally, because the flood, the water has nowhere to go, so it just goes into your house.
More canals. We got to go back to more canals. This is supposed to be the Venice of the East.
That's right, man. I want to sell my car and I want to buy a boat. I want to commute to work on a boat.
Hell yeah. Venice of the East. We got to get back to that, Bangkok.
That's right. So thanks, Kathleen. That was really cool to send that in. Again, readers, if you're interested, I'll put the link in the show notes and you can check it out. It's a pretty neat PDF that you can download. All right. On this, the final episode of Season 3, we are going to be getting into another neighborhood focus episode, and this time we're going to be covering Pridi Soi, aka Sukhumvit Soi 71. Now, some of you may have seen the article being passed around on the social medias a few weeks ago from Time Out magazine that labeled Pridi Soi as one of the top 50 coolest neighborhoods in the world. It got quite a bit of attention and raised a few eyebrows. And it's been a while since Ed and I were down there, so we put on our walking shoes the other night. We headed out to do some research and see what all the fuss is about. And I don't know, Ed, what do you want to talk about? You want to get into it?
Well, first thing I want to say is, I mean, you did say this, and you were I think you were fairly clear, but I'm just going to repeat this for emphasis. What Greg just said is Time Out magazine, which is a pretty well-known international magazine. It was rating the coolest neighborhoods on planet Earth, the top 50. So there's 7 billion human beings on planet Earth. They're rating the 50 coolest neighborhoods in the whole world. And they actually said the Phra Kanong neighborhood, Pridi Soi, the W District, Soi 71, was the 12th coolest neighborhood in the entire world. And when Greg and I saw this a couple weeks ago, we were like, oh my God. It's like, I mean, we know the area roughly, but we're like, holy shit, like maybe there's just right under our noses is this incredibly cool neighborhood that we haven't been to in a while.
Right.
So we went down to check it out, to see what's up, to see if this Time Out magazine article had any basis in fact. So we hooked up with a buddy of ours who lived in the area, and we walked around. Plus, of course, we did some reading and research. We talked to some of our friends and patrons who live in the neighborhood. We did our due diligence, as they say. And I don't know, Greg, do you want to spill the beans, or do you want me to do it?
Well, I don't know. I'll start off by saying that I don't really get what the fuss is about. I think it is a cool neighborhood. It's got a lot of interesting places, but calling it one of the top 50 coolest in the world, I think, is a pretty big stretch. I liked it. I think I liked it a bit more than you, but there was some definite limitations to it, which we're going to get into in a little bit.
Okay, that was a pretty diplomatic way to put it. Let me just say that. I'm going to say, but the bottom line is I largely agree with you. It's not that I didn't like the neighborhood. That's not it. It's that I really did not see much special about it, almost at all. I mean, of course, we went to some cool places, a couple pubs, saw a couple restaurants. So it's not that there's nothing over there. There is stuff over there. But I got to be honest, I would not put that neighborhood in the top 5 in Bangkok for sure. I mean, I'm not even sure it's in the top 10 in Bangkok. So how it got voted the 12th coolest neighborhood in the world, I have no idea. I mean, I don't want to insult anyone who's into that area. If any of our listeners live over there and you like it, more power to you. I'm just thinking about, I'm a numbers guy, man. Like there's 7 billion people on the planet. There's a lot of cool cities in the world, like a lot of cool cities, and they must have a lot of cool neighborhoods. And I'm just praying to God that there's more than 11 neighborhoods that are cooler than the Phra Kanong area. There has to be, because like the Phra Kanong area it's probably not even in the top 10 in Bangkok. So how it could be in the top 12 in the world, I have no idea, unless the rest of the world is way more boring than I realize.
Maybe someone made a mistake on the abacus. I don't know. So
I just don't get it. I mean, again, I'm not saying I don't like that area. I just don't see how it could be so highly rated.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. So just for clarification here, let's talk about what we're talking about now. Soi 71, Soi Pridi Soi, it runs from Sukhumvit all the way down to Petbury Road. So what we're talking about is from the north-south, it runs north-south. So we're talking about on the east side of Pridi Soi up, which extends all the way to the Chalong Rat Expressway. And then on the west side of Pridi Soi, sort of like maybe halfway up to Soi Ekkamai. So that is what we roughly figured is considered the Pridi Soi area, which also includes the Phra Kanong BTS. So if you look at the cover art for this episode, you'll see what we mean. But that's generally the area we talked about.
In general, we're talking about W District, which is a large condo, shopping center, office space complex, and then Sukhumvit Soi 71, nearer to Sukhumvit. So that's what we're calling the Phra Kanong area.
Now, it's a long soi. It's 3.2 kilometers long. So obviously, we didn't have the time, nor the patience, nor the energy to walk down the entire length of the soi. But to be honest, I think beyond like the first 500 meters, there's really nothing to see unless you're looking for like quiet subsois to live on. There's really nothing that you would draw you there.
We walked down fairly far. I mean, and there really just was not a lot to see. I mean, significantly less than either Ekkamai or Thong Lor.
Yeah, I agree. We walked about a kilometer down the soi, but we walked about a third of the way down the soi. But let's start then with what we liked. So let's start at the top by Sukhumvit.
Okay, well, let me talk about W District, because that's probably the area that I like the best. So W District is a large complex, and I know there's a lot of apartments and condos in there. I'm assuming there's also office space, and there's a lot of restaurants. In the back left of the W District is an excellent outdoor food court. It's one of my more favorite ones, and it's got a lot of different places to eat, so I can't really go through individual places to eat, but it's got a genuine variety of food, from like Thai food to like mainstream Thai food, Isan food. I've seen burger joints back there. Pizza.
There's a good Mexican place there.
Yeah,
and there's a really, really good grilled cheese truck called Awesome Sauce. That's right. Just makes some delicious sandwiches. So
this is, just to be clear, this is kind of in the back of W District, because they also sometimes have food courts or food carts in the front of W District as you enter. There's sometimes food carts up there. So I'm talking about the kind of permanent food court area, outside food court area, which is in the back. So to me, that's probably the best thing about W District, but it does have a other interesting restaurants just throughout W District. So there is, we hit for dinner, we hit a small, I guess it would be a Vietnamese sandwich shop. Would that be the best way to characterize it?
Yeah, well, it's called, the name of the restaurant is like, it's like a literal hole in the wall. I mean, it's a literal hole in a wall with a counter run by a very nice Thai guy who speaks great English. His name is Cadbury, of all things.
Yes.
And this little thing is called banh mi, and he makes really, really good Vietnamese sandwiches. And that's what we had for dinner.
Yeah, and there's multiple kind of cool eateries in W District. There's a huge, beautiful Starbucks, so to me, maybe in defense of this area, I do think W District is cool and definitely worth visiting. But it's just another mall in a way. I mean, there's obviously other places like this throughout Bangkok. I mean, I think it's kind of cool that they have that outdoor food area that's a little bit unique, but obviously those places exist elsewhere in Bangkok. So
yeah.
If anything, what W District does well is it's got it all kind of packed together. So to me, if you're into that kind of stuff, it would be a cool place to live. And our buddy actually lives in W District. And so you have a lot of things right at your fingertips if you live right there. So I think W District is worth a visit, but I wouldn't say that it has anything that you could not find somewhere else in Bangkok.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really like it though. It's got a really big variety of food. It's got nice cold beer towers you can get. It's a nice place to sit and chill out. Really eclectic mix of Thais and foreigners. And it's great for people watching. You almost always see someone you know there, so it's really cool to head down there. But again, it's not the most unique place in the world. It's just another really neat beer garden kind of thing.
Yeah. So thumbs up on W District. I think it's worth a visit, especially if you're just looking for a good outdoor food court with a lot of choices. You know, those places have their advantages. Like if you've got a big group of people and people want to eat different things, like that's the perfect place.
Yeah. Now, just behind W District is Pridi Soi 3. And this is a really funky soi because it's got like a little Japanese community. And all along the soi, it runs on the west side of Pridi Banamyong, and it runs west back out where it connects with Soi 69. And it's got a lot of really, really authentic Japanese sushi, soba, and dining places there.
Let us not forget the karaoke bars as well.
Oh, yes, the mysterious karaoke bars. We walked by a few doors where we're like, what is that place? It's just a wall with a door in it and some weird lights outside. Maybe we don't want to know. But one thing about these authentic Japanese places is almost always they have the top floor, which is smoking. And it's just full of Japanese dudes sucking back cigarettes like there's no tomorrow. I find it disgusting, but some people find it really authentic.
I guess that is authentic.
It is, yeah. So Pridi Soi 3 is really cool. There's a lot of shop houses, a couple art galleries. There's a couple of secondhand store where you can buy some old retro stuff. So that's really neat. That runs just behind W District. And we kept walking. And we walked for another kilometer or so down the west side of Pridi. And beyond a couple of little sois that looked sort of like interesting from a photographic perspective, there really wasn't anything else. There was a couple of little outdoor food areas with some funky looking people sitting around, lots of street food, but
it's not that there was nothing there. It's that there was nothing unique there. I mean, I was joking with you and our buddy that it kind of looked like every other big soi on Sukhumvit, you know. So at least other than Soi 3 behind W District, which I do think had a unique flavor to it. That whole left side, which I guess is that the west side, Greg?
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah. I didn't see anything that different or special, but we were there at night. It's possible during the day down those sois there could be coffee shops or something that we missed. It's possible.
Yeah, it is possible. And we walked all the way down the soi until we got to a place that was a big wall, and it smelled like a farm that I used to work on when I was in high school. Smelled like horse poo and hay and rotting biodegradable vegetation.
And did we ever figure out? We never really figured out what that was, although it looked like someone's house, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And I read something about a farm on.
Oh, really?
On Pridi, but I don't know. I'm not sure what it was. But
yeah, I don't know. What
so
that was.
we went down a little ways, and then we crossed over. And when we crossed over, we hit over to Soi 14. And we wanted to go into Soi 14 because we read a lot about a little bar called Clouds Across the Moon that we wanted to check out. So we stopped in there for a couple of drinks. I liked it.
Yeah, that was a cool place. It's just a small little, not quite a mixology place, but kind of like that with unique cocktails. It had a cool vibe to it.
It was cool. The air conditioning worked well. The drinks were strong and good, and not too cheap. Or not too expensive. Sorry,
a little bit expensive, but not as much as the cocktail bars on Thong Lor or Ekkamai.
Yeah, definitely. So we kind of got thinking like, well, is there anything else to see on this Soi? And apparently, Soi 14 is pretty cool. A lot of I did see an unusual number of foreigners walking down that Soi. So apparently there's some nicer apartment buildings, some sort of out of the way condos and stuff down there that a lot of people live in, which are really nice. But again, it's another long Soi with no sidewalk, so we didn't really feel like stumbling around down there. So we just
I gotta say this about the whole Phra Kanong area, man. It's not very walkable. Even like Pridi Soi 3. We almost got ran over on Pridi Soi 3, and then walking down Soi 14, there are just no sidewalks in that whole area.
And also, while we're on the topic, I got to say, at least that evening when we were there, it was probably one of the loudest Sois I've been on in Bangkok.
It was busy. I mean, so, some of the stories we read about the area did talk about how it has like an active nightlife. Now, I took that to mean that there would be a lot of bars and restaurants, which we could not find. Like I said, we found a few cocktail bars and an Irish pub. But I think what they meant by active nightlife is that there's a shitload of people around, which is true. Like it was alive, but super loud with like motorbikes whizzing past, crowds of people. So it's a very, I will say that the area is full of life. We just couldn't find that many places to go to. We couldn't find like pubs. Right. And I mean, obviously there were places to eat and there were pubs, but they were few and far between, like way fewer than I expected, given that it's supposed to be the 12th coolest neighborhood in the world to live in. I don't get it.
Right. Well, I sent an email to our buddy Andrew, who actually lives a bit further down on Pridi, and I was like, what's the deal? And what he said about Soi 14, he said, besides the local market deeper in the Soi, you have the short stretch of shop houses that include a Japanese restaurant, Clouds Across the Moon, and an Italian joint. My favorite Chinese-American delivery, Fortune Cookie, is based in Pridi 14. There's also a posh Italian restaurant run out of a shop house called Bon Amici. So apparently there's enough stuff down there to make it pretty cool, but again, it's not really. I wouldn't cross a city to go there. You know, just there. If you're there, cool, but
there's not many places to go. It's not a strip of bars or restaurants, which is what I was kind of expecting. When we went to Clouds Across the Moon, I'm like, this is cool. I really like this place. And then I just expected there would be 8 or 10 more places with different personalities, or coffee shops, or outdoor markets, and there just wasn't. Like, there's just not much else there that we could find.
So we continued walking back up on the east side of Pridi towards Sukhumvit, and again, not a hell of a lot to see until we got almost to back to Sukhumvit, and that's where Pridi Soi 2 is.
Yeah, so Pridi Soi 2 is super busy, and there's certainly a lot of Thai street food on Soi 2.
Yeah.
And there were a few places to get drinks, but not that many, huh?
Not a lot. Our friend Andrew said Soi 2 is an eclectic Soi. Japanese izakayas, Irish pubs, and bubble tea shops are sprinkled lightly amongst shop houses that have been families for generations. There's a thriving street food scene unaffected by city laws, becomes quite lively at night. I really like Soi 2. I thought it was a really funky place. There was tons of food, and I think that there was probably a lot of friendly people. We did stop and talk to a couple of random people, and they were all smiles and, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, to me, okay, I'm going to have to disagree on the funky. Like, it just, to me, it was very typical of many Bangkok sois. I mean, certainly not every soy is like that. I mean, it had a little bit more life than I think the average soy, but God, I've just been down countless sois like that. Like it to me, it might be in the upper half of Bangkok sois or something, but I don't know, man. I just, and I'm trying to be positive about this whole thing. And when we were walking around, I was like fighting to be positive. I'm just like, what am I missing here? I was just like, what am I missing? And I just, what's the best way to put it? There's definitely a few places to check out. Like if you go up to this area, like inside W District, there's many places to check out, many. But then when you venture down Pridi Soi, it's really, to me, more of like a handful of places here and there.
It drops off pretty quickly. Like within a few hundred meters, there's like, well, there's nothing else to see here. Yeah.
And so, we decided we were going to do this show on this area. And the bottom line is, even though we don't understand why it was voted the 12th coolest place in the world, we figured we have a duty to our listeners to let you guys know this, because like this has been all over social media as if this is some great place to go check out. And I'm not saying don't check it out, and maybe you'll find places that Greg and I couldn't find, but Greg and I just want to be honest. We're like Woodward and Bernstein. Right, we're just gonna
right, yeah, just like them.
We're like investigative reporters. We just go out, we see what we see, and then we report back to you, our listeners. We owe you guys the truth.
Well, the thing about this timeout thing that I read, and the final thing in the final paragraph in this little entry on Pridi Soi says, locals say it has a great location, not far from the city center, but quiet enough. My friends live in the area, and there are cafes, street food, and markets. That's every single street in the city. There's nothing unique about that description at all.
That's exactly right. I'm trying to figure out how it ended up on this list, and I guess here's the best spin I can come up with. The best spin I can come up with is that when they say coolest neighborhood, they don't mean hip. They mean very low key.
Right.
That's the best spin I can put on. It's not that I wouldn't want to live in that area. That's not it at all. So, and I just want to be clear. I'm not saying I did not like the area. I'm not. It was fine. I just feel like I know many other places in Bangkok that are as good or better. Think of the Phra area. There's a jazz club, there's a pizza joint, there's a killer Indian roti place. Like just along Phra, there's 15 places to hang out along Phra.
Yeah.
And that's not counting Rambu Tree. So then if you go down Rambu Tree in Khao San, there's 30 places to hang out.
Yeah, I dig.
In all of Phra Kanong, I saw maybe, not counting W District, but down Pridi Soi, I saw 4 places to hang out. So cool, if you interpret cool as meaning like low key, like very low key, but interesting, like it's got some personality, so I could see it being an interesting place for a foreigner to live, because it's pretty Thai. So I think it's one of those places that you do get a real taste of Thailand. So it's not Farang heavy, but there are Farangs there. Yeah, but there are Farangs there.
Well, our friend Andrew said, during a casual visit, Pridi Road looks like Bangkok 25 years ago, with not much going on besides the hardware and food shop houses. But having seen the changes just in the past couple of years, I believe things are just getting interesting. So I believe that. I believe in 5 years it's going to look really different.
Yeah, and it's not like I don't maybe I don't really know what I was expecting. I'm not that into Thong Lor or Ekkamai, so I'm not saying that I want Phra Kanong to be like a new Thong Lor. I don't know what I was expecting. I was just, reading that it's the 12th coolest neighborhood in the world. I was just expecting something different. Maybe I'm not cool enough, Greg. Maybe I'm too old to be cool.
No. You can always teach an old dog cool new tricks.
maybe the area is so cool that I just couldn't get it.
Right. Well, the last thing that's worth mentioning as you get towards Sukhumvit is Phra Kanong Market, which is one of Bangkok's oldest open air markets. And I really like this place because it's kind of a maze once you get back off the main street. And as our friend who we were out with said, there's a big Burmese community around Sukhumvit 71. So as you get further and further into the market, the signs go from like English and Thai to Thai to Thai and Burmese to Burmese.
Right.
As you get closer to the center of this market. And there's a really, really good hole-in-the-wall Burmese food joint in the middle of this market. I don't know where. I've been there a couple of times and I've always gotten lost. It's called Mona's. And they make some delicious tea leaf salad and some traditional Burmese dishes. It's not a classy place. It's literally a couple of card tables and some plastic stools outside of this random stall. But it's really good. And if you can find it, I highly recommend going there.
Yeah, so there's a good a good thumbs up. So there's definitely some gems. It's like I think this area has gems. We've tried to mention the gems, and so I'm not saying that this area is not worth a visit. I think it's probably worth a visit, especially to if you're a longtime resident and if you've never been there, it's worth checking out. And if you're a tourist and you just want to do something a little off the beaten path. And if you don't really expect too much, and if you don't mind walking around, I think it could be worth checking out. Yeah. But 12th coolest neighborhood in the world, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. That's all. I guess that's all I can say. I don't get it.
Well, the last thing I'll say about it too was it also, if you zoom out on the map a little bit, you'll notice that there's an incredible number of sois that snake back all through the back of Pridi and back onto the expressway and from Pridi towards Ekkamai. And I haven't been down many of them, but I did some street view tooling around this afternoon. And there's some beautiful old houses down there that are probably very quiet, very residential, very lush. There's lots of trees. There's some pretty cool condos and apartment buildings back there that probably have really good deals. Again, on a really quiet, isolated, like dead end soy kind of thing. If that's your thing, this might be something you could look at.
Yeah. But I to be honest, I think that's typical of many sois on Sukhumvit. Yeah. Like Sukhumvit just has a lot of long sois branching off of it, and there's a lot of cool places to live down those sois. But no, I agree. I think Phra Kanong, because it's a little bit further out, it's less developed than Thong Lor and Ekkamai, so you probably get more of those older buildings.
Well, I liked it. I wouldn't mind living there. I think I'd quite like it. I thought Soi 2 was cool. I love W District. I think it's a great place. But I think you and I are in agreement. Top neighborhoods in the world?
I hope that there are many more than 11 neighborhoods in the world that are cooler than Phra Kanong. Let me just put it that way. I just hope there's a couple hundred.
And hey, and like you said, man, if you're listening to the show and you disagree with us and think we're way wrong and love Phra Kanong, then that's great. More power to you. But I just don't think it's for us.
So that's it. That's our point of view.
All right, let's get into some love, loathe, or leave. And that's where one of us surprises the other one with a particular aspect of life in Bangkok, which we then discuss and decide if it's something we love about life here, loathe about life here, or have come to accept it as just part of the crazy tapestry of Bangkok that we cannot change, so we might as well accept. So this week, it is my turn. And Ed, you like going to the movies? You're a movie guy like I am?
That is correct.
What is your take on the snack food options available at Thai movie theaters?
Interesting. Good question. I think, I'm pretty simple. I like the fact that at many theaters, but not all theaters, you can buy beer. And it does depend on what theater you're at, and I think it depends on the theater chain, so it's not always available. But in the States, it's rarely available. Like I know a couple independent kind of art house places where you can get beers and watch movies, but in general, in the States, you can't buy a beer and watch a movie. So
that's right. Warning to our listeners, if you ever go see a movie with Ed, as soon as the lights go down, you inevitably hear
That is true. I mean, to me, that's heaven. Like to be in a movie theater, a good movie theater, watching a good movie, and have a cold beer in your hand. That's up there on great things in life. And then other than that, I'm just a popcorn guy, so I never got into having a lot of options. Or I know some people like to get food or nachos or like or candy. Like, I don't eat candy, at least not anymore, not since I was a kid. So to me, if I've got popcorn and a beer, I'm happy. And to me, I don't think they gouge you as bad as movie theaters in the States. In the States, man, the movie theaters just gouge you. And to me here, the prices are definitely higher than they would be at 7-Eleven. But am I wrong? Are they like gouging? I feel like they're gouging less.
Definitely less, like when compared to the price of a ticket than the States. Like the States, it's like, $40 for a popcorn and a drink and a chocolate bar or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's expensive here, but it's not insane.
Yeah, it's like, if I get a beer at a movie theater here, it's like 120 baht, 140 baht. Like, that's not gouging. That's pretty normal.
Well, I'm the bit opposite of you. When I go to a movie, I like to have like a big bag of licorice, like some raisinets.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a candy guy. I like my candy options. So
I see.
Things have gotten better over the last 10 or 12 years at Thai movie theaters. Like they used to have like, dried fish and maybe like a Pringles or something like that. But now you can get
some squid.
Yeah, exactly. So, but now in some of the bigger theaters, you can get nachos and you can get some chocolate and things like that. So things are getting better, but But
you want candy.
I want candy, man. I think so. For this, I think I'm on the sort of right on the border between loathe and live with. I think I'm live with, but just barely.
It's funny. I'm probably in the border between live with and love. If they've got beer and popcorn, I'm in the love category, man.
All right. Well, next time you go to a theater with us, you hear a from Ed, and then you hear a crunch, crunch, crunch from me on the other side.
That's correct. And the other thing that you got to watch out for is, bring a sweater or a sweatshirt, because those movie theaters are freezing, which I'm sure we've covered before on a love, loathe, or leave. Maybe. Movie theaters in Thailand are freezing,
cold.
So as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we'd like to say thank you to Kevin Kerwan for lending us his support at the show Shoutout level. And Greg, what did you find out about Kevin?
Well, as it turns out, Kevin wrote back to me. I sent him an email and I said, "Hey man, what's going on? Tell me about yourself." And he said he is just, quote, "your standard Irish guy."
That's pretty good. That's pretty
good.
I
got to wondering.
The Irish are well loved.
They are. But I got to wondering, what is your standard Irish guy? I don't think I've ever met an Irish guy. So Ed, what comes to your mind when you think of standard Irish guy?
I don't want to play into stereotypes.
Laying a trap for you.
You know what I was going to say, but I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to play into stereotypes. I would just say a good-natured person. Let's put it that way.
All right.
A friendly person who likes to have a good time.
Well, when I picture an standard Irish guy, I think of either Liam Neeson or Brad Pitt in Snatch, even though he's an American actor. So Kevin, I'm just going to imagine that you could look kind of like a dreamy mix of Brad Pitt and Liam Neeson.
All right.
Yeah, anyway, so Kevin said he's covered in tattoos and he loves music and food and will be coming on holiday to Thailand soon. So first of all, Kevin, you sound like our kind of guy. I mean, I'm a food guy. Ed, you're a music guy. I mean, we're both food and music guys, but one of us has a particular preference over the other. So make sure you listen to our live music episode too, buddy, before you come. That's episode 11 of season 3. And since Kevin said he's covered in tattoos, I have a challenge. Kevin, if you get the Bangkok Podcast logo tattooed somewhere on your body, we will create an extra Patreon level just for you. We're going to call it the Kevin.
The Kevin level. I love it.
Yeah. So I'll leave it up to you where you want to get it. If you want to get, a sexy Bangkok Podcast tattoo somewhere, yeah, go nuts. Or if you want to get it on your shoulder blade or something, but you surprise us. There's our challenge for you, man. If you get a tattoo, we'll create a Patreon tier for you. And Kevin also asked us for our favorite restaurant recommendations for his trip here. So as we mentioned at the top of the show, part of our bonus show this week was spent discussing our 3 favorite restaurants in Bangkok. So there you go.
That's right. So you, if you check out the bonus show, you'll hear my 3 favorite restaurants and Greg's 3 favorite restaurants.
Yeah. So thanks, man. Thank you, Kevin. We appreciate your support, and we hope you get here soon. Look us up. Let us know when you're in town. We will go for either a beer or a tattoo.
Yeah, sure right.
Or both.
Okay, before we wrap up, I'd like to give a special thanks to all of our lovely patrons, especially the new ones. As you know, we don't run ads or have sponsors, so we really, really do appreciate the support we get from our patrons. If you want to learn more, just head to bangkokpodcast.com/support. And if you want to get in touch with us, it's easy. Bangkok Podcast on social media, bangkokpodcast.com on the web, or simply Bangkok Podcast at gmail.com. We are very polite, and if you write, we will answer.
Yeah, you can also find each episode on YouTube, and you can follow us online where we post each episode and carry on conversations with you, our listeners. You can also reach out to me directly on Twitter if you want, where I am BKK Greg. So thanks for listening, everyone. Goodbye, Season 3, and we'll see you back here in 2 weeks for Season 4. All right, well, before we get into things, we have a special announcement.
Wait a second.
What?
Do we have like a drum roll sound effect? Do we have them?
I'm sure I could put that in. Should I? Yeah, I could do it later.
I meant my words to be on the show. Like I was maybe prompting you to do like your own like drum roll effect. Yeah, something like that.
All right, I'll do it again. Okay, it's good.
Just start it over.
Sorry, I'm like a bad improv person. All right.